Hello and welcome to Pro-Life Primetime News. Today is Friday, March 15th. I'm Leslie Palma.
And I'm Theresa Watson. Thanks for joining us this evening. It's official. Former President Donald Trump and incumbent Joe Biden will get a rematch of the 2020 election this November. It's the first time since 1912 that two U.S. presidents have opposed each other on the ballot. We'll have that and some weird news about potential vice presidential candidates in our top story.
The Veterans Affairs Administration quietly finalized a rule that turns its hospitals into abortion mills, and the Treasury Department is urging the nation's largest banks not to do business with some pro-life groups. I'll have these stories and lots more in Abortion in the News.
All eyes are on Ohio, which has been a predictably Republican state since 2016, but one that's now showing signs that things may change. Abortion could be the bellwether in a state important to both candidates. I'll have more on this in Political News in a nutshell.
College students facing unexpected pregnancies can say yes to life thanks to a groundbreaking program in North Carolina. Miravia Executive Director Debbie Capon will join us to talk about this innovative program. Please stay with us. It's official, the 2024 presidential election will be a replay of 2020's contest. The 45th and 46th presidents are set up for a final bout on November 5th. This is only the seventh rematch of presidential candidates in U.S. history and the first since 1956, when President Dwight D. Eisenhower, a Republican, was challenged by Illinois Governor Adlai Stevenson, a Democrat. Eisenhower won both times. Biden's Peach State victory put him past the 1,968 delegates needed for the Democratic National Convention in Chicago this August, where his nomination will be made official. Trump will formally accept the nomination at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee in July.
In a statement, Biden celebrated the nomination while painting Trump as a serious threat to democracy. 4 years ago, I ran for president because I believed we were in a battle for the soul of this nation, Biden said. Because of the American people, we won that battle, and now I am honored that the broad coalition of voters representing the rich diversity of the Democratic Party across the country have put their faith in me once again to lead our party and our country in a moment when the threat Trump poses is greater than ever. Biden touted his travels since the State of the Union last week, saying, "The American people are working tirelessly every single day toward a brighter future. Despite the challenges we faced when I took office, we're in the middle of a comeback. Wages are rising faster than inflation, jobs are coming back, consumer confidence has soared." I don't know, Leslie, I'm not sure what he's been listening to or what polls he's looking at.
He's living in a different America than we are. In a video message, Trump called Tuesday's contest a really great day of victory. Here's what he had to say.
Hello, everyone. It's your favorite president speaking to you on a really great day of victory. 1 week ago, we had something called Super Tuesday, and it was indeed super because we won at numbers that nobody has ever seen before, records in virtually every state. And tonight, likewise. But this one got us over the top. The Republican National Committee has just declared us the official nominee, and so we're the official nominee of the Republican Party, which is a big deal. But most importantly, we now have to go into victory because our country's in serious trouble. We have millions and millions of people flowing in. We have no respect on the world stage. What we say doesn't mean a thing anymore. And to have that happen is unthinkable. We have an economy that outside of certain little areas is doing very poorly. And we have something very, very important. We have a United States military that has to be taken care of. Again, this was a great day of victory. Last week was something very special, Super Tuesday. But now we have to get back to work because we have the worst president in the history of our country. His name is Joe Biden, sometimes referred to as Crooked Joe Biden, and he must be defeated. Our nation is failing. We're a nation that is in serious decline. We've never had a situation like this where we're not respected, we're laughed at, we're considered almost a joke. We're going to turn it around. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to close our borders. We're going to do things like nobody's ever seen before, and we're going to make our nation's economy be the best ever in the world. We had the best economy ever just a short while ago, and we're going to have that again. We're going to have people come into our country, but they're going to come in legally. and we're going to get your energy costs down by numbers that nobody would have said even possible. We have some sections of this country that are paying the highest numbers in the history of our country and among the most expensive energy anywhere in the world. And yet we have more liquid gold, I call it, under our feet than any other nation. Just 3 years ago, we were energy independent, and now we're going around begging for energy. So we're not going to have that anymore. We're going to have a strong country. We're going to have a respected country. We have to win an election, and we should win it by a lot, because there's never been anybody worse at doing that job than Joe Biden. So we're not going to take time to celebrate. We'll celebrate in 8 months when the election is over. November 5th, I believe, will go down as the most important day in the history of our country. So start thinking about it. Start thinking about your vote, because this vote is going to be the most important vote you've ever cast. And again, for this evening and for last week and for all the weeks before, for the tremendous success we've had in this primary, I want to thank everybody. But much more importantly, we have to get to work to beat Joe Biden, the worst administration, the worst president in the history of our country. They are destroying our country, and we're not going to let that happen. Thank you very much.
So there's no longer any doubt about who voters will cast their ballots for in November. At 81, Biden is already the oldest president in U.S. history. Their rematch, the first featuring two U.S. presidents since 1912, will almost certainly deepen the nation's political and cultural divides over the next 8 months. On the eve of Tuesday's primaries, Trump acknowledged that Biden would be the Democratic nominee, even as he seized on the president's age. "I assume he's going to be the candidate," Trump said of Biden on CNBC. "I'm his only opponent, other than life itself."
Both candidates dominated Tuesday's primaries in swing state Georgia, deep red Mississippi, and Democratic-leaning Washington. Trump picked up 13 delegates in Hawaii's Republican caucus. Despite their tough talk, the road ahead will not be easy for either nominee. Many Haley voters have expressed ambivalence about backing Trump, with some saying they'd outright support Biden instead. The former president will have to change that if he wants to win the states likely to decide the election, such as Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, each of which he lost in 2020. Biden would be 86 years old at the end of his next term, is working to assure a skeptical electorate that he's still physically and mentally able to thrive in the world's most important job. Voters in both parties are unhappy with his handling of immigration and inflation. He has also faced opposition from the progressive wing of his party over his perceived stance over the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Abortion advocates are unhappy that he never used the word abortion during his State of the Union address.
Robert Kennedy Jr. is running against Trump and Biden as an independent, and his campaign got interesting this week with the news that he's considering former pro wrestler and Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura and NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers as potential running mates. Rodgers has said he leans pro-life but doesn't think laws restricting abortion are just. If he does make it to the Kennedy ticket, the campaign season will be well underway when the NFL season begins. But that might not pose a problem for Rodgers. The former Green Bay Packers quarterback took the field with the New York Jets to much fanfare last season, only to be sacked on the first play and miss the rest of the season with an Achilles tendon injury. The Department of Veterans Affairs has quietly finalized a rule that turns VA hospitals into abortion mills. The final rule, published in the Federal Register, allows abortions for veterans and their dependents if a mother's life is at risk or in cases of rape and incest. The procedure, as well as abortion counseling, is allowed at VA facilities even in states with laws protecting babies from abortion. The rule will go into effect on April 3rd. The department also announced Monday that it would begin providing taxpayer-funded in vitro fertilization and surrogacy services to unmarried veterans and those in same-sex marriages. In a press release, VA Secretary Dennis McDonough said, "We are working urgently to make sure that eligible unmarried veterans, veterans in same-sex marriages, and veterans who need donors will have access to IVF in every part of the country as soon as possible." In a related development, a bill in the U.S. Senate would expand IVF and other reproductive technologies to active duty military members, regardless of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or marital status. Oklahoma Senator James Lankford halted an effort by Democrats to fast-track the bill. A bill under consideration in the Kansas House would make it a felony to coerce someone to terminate a pregnancy. Republican Representative Rebecca Schmo introduced the bill and testified about her own experience with a doctor who spent more than an hour trying to pressure her into an abortion when she was a pregnant teenager. "I was called selfish at least 10 times, and then I stopped counting," Schmo said, according to newsfromthestates.com. "I was told that my parents were going to have to pick out my casket. I was told that my parents were going to have to make all the arrangements. He asked me at one point what kind of flowers I wanted at my funeral." Her son is now 21 years old. Another bill under consideration in Kansas would allocate $5.8 million to provide support services to pregnant women. The attorneys general of 16 states where most babies are protected from abortion have threatened to sue Maine if it passes a law shielding abortionists from prosecution from performing abortions on mothers from those states. The Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network is urging the nation's banks not to do business with pro-life and Christian groups that it accuses of being guilty of hate crimes. In a report titled Bankrupting Bigotry, the network also urges Congress to strip tax-exempt status from groups like Alliance Defending Freedom, Liberty Counsel, and the Family Research Council. Thousands of pro-lifers marched in Annapolis on Monday using the Maryland March for Life as a platform to protest a proposed ballot amendment that would invent a right to abortion in the Constitution of a state that already has no limits on the procedure. "We're out here because all life is precious and we need to take a stand," said Jeffrey Trimbath, president of the Maryland Family Institute. "Every child born and unborn is precious in God's sight, and our laws should reflect that reality." Some good news from across the pond. First, in Ireland, efforts by the government to remove a clause from the Family Amendment that affirms marriage as the foundation of the family, and to remove from the Care Amendment every mention of motherhood, were defeated in 2 landslide votes. Pro-life parliamentarian Carol Nolan said the, quote, political earthquake showed just how far out of touch the government is from its constituents. And in England, more than 700 medical professionals are lobbying Parliament to reduce by 2 weeks the legal limit for abortion. The current cutoff is 24 weeks, which is beyond the time when many premature babies survive, and is twice as long as the most common limit in Europe, where most abortions cannot legally take place after 12 weeks. Back here in the U.S., our abortion-loving Vice President Kamala Harris visited a Planned Parenthood abortion business in Minnesota on Thursday, and First Lady Jill Biden teamed up with singer Christina Aguilera for an Instagram post designed to scare young women into believing their very lives are in danger because abortion isn't as available as it was before the Dobbs decision in 2022. In the nearly 2 years since then, no women have died from lack of abortion. And finally, books that Aerosmith singer Steven Tyler wrote that described an underage girlfriend in lewd terms cannot be used in her lawsuit against him because she was an adult when the books were published, a judge has ruled. But Julia Holcomb, a former spokeswoman for the Silent No More Awareness campaign, can continue to sue him for emotional distress related to their relationship that began when she was just 16 and ended soon after he coerced her into an abortion at 5 months. And that's Abortion in the News.
For more than half a century, Ohio was one of the most important states to watch during presidential election years, a place where both parties competed vigorously for support from voters who were often genuinely undecided. Then came Donald Trump. Beginning in 2016, Ohio became reliably Republican as more and more voters embraced the New York businessman's brash brand of politics. When Trump won the state in 2020, without clinching the White House, he became the first to win Ohio but lose the presidency since the state sided with Richard Nixon over John F. Kennedy in 1960. With that, the Buckeye State's bellwether status was officially unrung. Now there are hints that the dynamic may be shifting again after the U.S. Supreme Court overturned federal constitutional protections for abortion. Ohio voters responded last year to the 2022 ruling by overwhelmingly approving an amendment inventing a right to abortion in the state constitution. They did so after swarming polls to defeat a Republican effort that would have made doing so more difficult. The state also legalized recreational marijuana. There's a risk of over-interpreting the results from 2023, but the victories have encouraged Democrats defending a pivotal U.S. Senate seat this year. Last August's GOP-backed effort to make amending Ohio's constitution harder showed Ohioans that Republican politicians were not on their side, said Ohio Democratic Party Chair Elizabeth Walters. The Democratic Party isn't getting ahead of themselves after just one election, but it does provide some hope that steadily and with a lot of work, Ohioans could shift more to the left than to the right in upcoming elections, she said. Democrats' most immediate concern is re-electing three-term U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown. He's unopposed in the March 19th primary as Republicans hash out who will run against him. But Brown is viewed as among the nation's most vulnerable Democrats in November's general election, when voters also will cast ballots for president and Congress. Abortion is also a hot topic in three closely watched Ohio Supreme Court races, where Democrats are defending two sitting justices and dreaming of flipping a third open seat to take control of the seven-member court. The future of Ohio abortion law could be forged there, and on other states' high courts as the legal questions surrounding abortion rights are hashed out. Just days after installing his new leadership team at the Republican National Committee, Donald Trump's lieutenants are cutting dozens of staff across key departments in aggressive mood that further cements the former president's takeover of the GOP's political and fundraising machinery. More than 60 people were fired in all, including senior staff. The cuts also included staff that ran the committee's celebrated community centers, which were focused on building relationships with minority groups in some Democrat-leaning states. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican from Georgia, celebrated news of the staffing cuts, suggesting they send a clear message about the direction of the GOP. MAGA is now in control of the Republican Party, Greene wrote on X, referencing Trump's Make America Great Again movement. We will continue to need everyone's help all the way across the finish line. Do not grow weary. Trump's lieutenants telegraphed major changes late last week as Republican National Committee members gathered in Houston to approve his hand-picked leadership team, which includes his daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, as the committee co-chair. Michael Whatley, a former North Carolina GOP chairman, replaced Ronna McDaniel as the chair. The cuts are designed to eliminate duplication as the Trump campaign and the RNC work to become essentially one organization, said Chris LaCivita, a Trump campaign senior advisor, who took over as the RNC chief of staff after Friday's vote. This is Republican streamlining, LaCivita said Monday night. Representative Ken Buck, Republican from Colorado, who frequently defied his own party and announced last fall he would not seek re-election, said Tuesday he will resign from Congress at the end of next week, further shrinking the GOP's already razor-thin majority. Today I am announcing that I will depart Congress at the end of next week, Buck said in a statement. I look forward to staying involved in our political process, as well as spending more time in Colorado and with family. His departure will cut the House Republican margin to 218 to 213. Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican from Louisiana, will continue to have 2 votes to spare before needing Democrats to govern. But illnesses and other unexpected absences could make his already difficult job even more challenging. And that's political news in a nutshell. Miravia is Latin for miraculous way, and it's the name of the first of its kind residence for pregnant college students. Opened in 2013 on the campus of Belmont Abbey College near Charlotte, North Carolina, the residence welcomes students who attend college anywhere in the United States. Debbie Capon is the executive director of Miravia, and she understands what a life-saving resource it is for young women concerned that an unexpected pregnancy can derail their plans. She's joining us on the show this evening. Welcome to the show, Debbie.
Thank you very much for having me this evening.
Hi, Debbie. So Miravia has 2 missions, as I understand it. One is an outreach to all moms, many in underserved communities, and the other focuses on college students. Can you tell us about the programs?
Yes, thank you. So Miravia has one mission of serving pregnant women and their children, and we do that through 2 very unique programs. As you mentioned, our outreach program that's located in Charlotte, North Carolina, is in an area where women can get to us via public transportation, and they might be struggling just to put food on the table. And so when they join that program, they stay in it for a full year. and they come every month and meet with the same women and our staff in a very supportive group, where not only are they receiving our support, but they're creating relationships that they can take with them outside of our walls and build a community. And over the years, since 1994, between our two programs, we have now served more than 12,000 women and children. And just last year alone, we served 970 clients at the Outreach Center. And every time they come, they receive a life skill class. They leave with diapers and sometimes food if they need it, clothing. And last year we gave away more than 65,000 diapers, more than 47,000 items of clothing, and hundreds of cribs, car seats, and strollers that are all donated to us by the community. And we pass those straight along to these women, creating a real impact in their lives. And then, as you mentioned, our other program is our residence, and it grew out of our original maternity home program after the abbot of Belmont Abbey College, Abbot Placid Solari, got to know our organization and said, if you ever want to serve college students, my brother monks and I will donate the land. And that's what they did. And in 2013, we opened this beautiful facility. This is one of our bedrooms here, where women are now coming from all over the country during their pregnancy, and they stay with us. They can go to Belmont Abbey College, where they would receive 100% tuition assistance, or they can go to any school. And our moms have gone to anything from firefighter schools, CNA programs, community college, all the way up through master's programs. And while they're with us, they receive that comprehensive support so that they can become the best moms, students, citizens that they can in a loving and supportive and professional environment.
Wow, it's very impressive. So what's a typical day like in a college residence?
There really are no 2 days exactly the same, but the rhythm of it is usually, we serve 3 meals a day. The moms will come out and breakfast is served. I always say it's kind of like when you stay at the Hampton Inn and you go and you kind of grab and go because everybody's on different schedules. And they will place their child with us in childcare while they go to class or while they go to work. We come back together if they're home during the day for lunch. In fact, today we're having a lunch and learn. A doula is coming in. She's a doula who has helped our clients, and she's coming in to educate them during lunch. And then in the afternoons, they're back out to class or work. And in the evenings, when it starts to wind down, they'll have dinner. And 2 of our staff, in fact, our nighttime staff, are former clients. And it's beautiful because they get to spend that quality time with them in the evening and help them with their studies and mentor them. And that's really kind of the time that the moms come together and forge these friendships that they'll take with them. And once a week, they are attending a social work case management meeting with our case manager, so that every week they're getting those touch points of how they're doing, what their goals are, to make sure that they've got a good plan in place for their future, so that when they leave us, they are all set.
Wow, that's amazing. So when the residence opened in 2013, there was really no such thing as remote learning, but the pandemic created online degree opportunities that opened the doors of Miravia to students across the country. So how do you get word out beyond North Carolina, and how can we help?
Over the years, we really have become kind of a destination. We've now served women from 9 different states and 12 different colleges. But as you mentioned, now that there's a lot of online learning, it makes it even easier for our moms to, if they wanted to stay in the program that they were in after they come to us. And it also makes their lives easier to handle too, sometimes if they're juggling, motherhood or pregnancy or doctor's appointments, those types of things. But North Carolina is a beautiful place to come for college, no matter what. And so we love when we can share this nationwide and open our doors to them.
Well, Debbie, I know you share your own story as part of the Silent No More awareness campaign, and you chose abortion in college because you felt you had no other choice. So it must be an answer to prayer for you personally to be able to offer young women a path to choosing life. What do you say to women who find themselves faced with an unplanned pregnancy in college?
Yeah, I always say that women who choose abortion, usually it's because they don't feel like they had a choice. And that was certainly my situation. And I'm a bit of a prodigal daughter. I was away from my faith at the time. And to me, it's the ultimate example of God's divine mercy that he's allowed me to be a part of this program and to offer that solution that I didn't have when I faced an unplanned pregnancy. And so I would just say that no woman here would ever walk alone. And I think that's one of the driving fears for women, is that they will feel isolated, that they will feel like they have to give up on everything, that they fear what they're going to have to say to their friends and family. And this really is a place of peacemaking at Miravia, where they can have peace in their own hearts, peace with their children and their families, and a bright future.
So do you have space available for some more moms? And if so, how do they contact you?
Yes, as you can see, we do. We have rooms available right now. We have our building, it can house up to 15 women at a time. And I encourage people to go to our website, which is miravia.org, where they can find out how to get in touch with us. We would love to chat by phone and see, if we can be the right fit for them.
Awesome. Any plans for the future you can share with us?
When we built this facility in 2013, we really wanted it to be something that could either be a model or that we could take on the road, so to speak. In fact, every time someone comes here for a tour, they always say, why isn't this at every college? And we would love to be that solution at other schools. Over the years, I've had dozens of people come and say, well, I'd love to bring this to my school. And now that we've been doing this program for 10 years, we feel like we're ready and would love to be invited to come and support students at other colleges.
All right. Well, we want to thank you and everyone at Miravia for the life-saving work you do every day and for taking the time to join us this evening. Please keep us updated about any future plans.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Thank you. Good night, Debbie.
Good night.
Thank you so much for joining us on Pro-Life Primetime News, produced at Priest for Life headquarters in Titusville, Florida.
If you like our show, please support us by making a donation to prolifegift.org. These donations help fund all of our work here at Priest for Life, which enables us to continue educating, equipping, and activating God's people to end abortion. For all your pro-life news updates during the week, please follow us on X at Pro-Life News Show. I'm Theresa Watson, Executive Manager.
I'm Leslie Palma, Communications Director. Remember, life is the only choice.